Hi, mystery writers. Welcome to Write a Killer Mystery, where we learn to make a good mystery great. And today I'm going to talk about storytelling. First, I want to thank my patrons on Patreon who helped make this series possible. And if you would like to join us, there's a link in the description below. I have extra perks for patrons, so I'd love to see you there. Alright, so storytelling, it's the art of engaging your reader. For mystery writers, the audience is your reader, yes, and it's one reader, the one who's reading your story right now. So you can structure your plot, build strong characters, illustrate settings, create imaginative twists, and hide the villain till the end. But you must also bring your reader into the story and keep them enthralled for hundreds of pages. And that requires the art of storytelling. The point of view you use doesn't matter, nor does the tone of your narrative voice. You can write in first-person point of view or third-person point of view. Your tone can be serious or factual or humorous or dark. What matters is your ability to bring your reader into the story and keep them there. That's the art of storytelling. So what is storytelling? Storytelling is the craft of making all the story elements work in concert. And as you write, plot, character, setting, twists, all work together to engage your reader. As Robert McKee writes in his classic book, Story, craft is the sum total of all means used to draw the audience into deep involvement, to hold that involvement, and ultimately to reward it with a moving and meaningful experience. So we're going to talk today about creating that moving and meaning experience through your storytelling. So, yes, preparation will help you get ready to tell your story. But in each writing session, your goal is to create story that grabs the reader. So I've been thinking a lot about this lately, and your emotional engagement brings the story to life. And I know that, so the first time I heard that, I was like, what? My emotions? No, it's the character's emotions. But just bear with me for a couple of minutes because I want to explain this. So now as you write, you create the emotional engagement that brings that story to life. And for your reader to engage emotionally, you, the writer, must bring your emotions to each scene as you write. You must feel as you write, so your reader feels as they read. Like I said, I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and I watched a recent interview with Kelly Edwards, who was the HBO and Warner Media's VP of Talent Development, talk about emotional impact in story, and I put a link in the description below so you can watch her. It's a very interesting interview. But anyway, she says how she evaluates new storytellers is by the emotion they put into their story. So she's saying that, she can tell when the writer has emotions about the story, and that they're putting their emotions into this story. So once again, it's like, why would I put my emotion into the story, right? I need to concentrate on writing the characters and entering the setting and developing the conflict of the scene. And yes, all of those needs are true, all right? But unless you put your emotions into the story, it may be well constructed, but feel flat. So how do you put your emotions into your writing? And I think this is the gift of writers, is that we're able to put our emotions into our writing. So let me go through the process of how that works. To write with emotional impact, you need to go into the story as you write. So rather than being up here and looking down on your story and watching your characters do this and that, you put yourself, you, in the scene. So you have to use your imagination to be in the story. So you want to see what the point of view character in your scene sees. You want to feel their reactions to the world around them and the people who are there in the scene. And what you're doing is writing your emotional responses into the scene because you're there, you're in the story, all right? So how does another character in the scene make your point of view character feel? Is your point of view character ready to take on action, or are they hesitant because they're thinking of the consequences? So if you go into the story, your emotions will translate onto the page as you write. So that's the key. Go into the story. And then just a little bit more about being in the story and improving your storytelling. So it's the truth of your story versus the facts, and those are two terms that Robert McKee uses once again in his writing about story. So stories solidify abstract concepts and simplify complex messages. So in our stories, we're taking this great big world, not all of it, only the parts that fit in the story. We're simplifying. And the story world that you create is the truth that you impart. And as long as your story is true to itself, imbued with your emotions from your writing session, the decisions your characters make and the actions they take will be true to that story world. The story truth lies behind the unplanned actions of your characters that they sometimes take when you're writing, and all of a sudden your character does something and you're like, where did this come from? And it's because you're in the story, and whatever decision or action that character takes, it's because that character is being true to the story. And the story truth lies behind those actions, and it's the cause and effect of what happens. So the truth in your story is the cause and effect, and the emotional causes and effect that happen in your story. Because you are in the story, you gain a deeper understanding of how your characters perceive that story world and the people in it, and how they respond to that story world and everything around them. You may have the facts of what happens, the victims, the clues, the evidence, the suspects, but they don't become true in your story until you back them up with your emotions. So I think I'll say that one more time, all right? You may have the facts of your story, the victim, the clues, the evidence, the suspects, but they don't become true to your story until you back them up with your emotions, the emotions that you have as you're writing the story. So your storytelling will improve when you enter that story and saturate your writing with your emotions. Okay, hope that helps. And if you have any questions about this, because I certainly had a lot of questions about it when I first encountered this concept, but the more I thought about it, the more I thought, oh, that's right. It's our emotions that make our story valid. So anyway, if you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. I'm happy to talk about them with you, because I think it's such a key to our giving that story life and getting our readers engaged in the story. Okay, so once again, I want to thank Audible for sponsoring Write a Killer Mystery, and right now I'm listening to Stephen King's new story, and it's quite alright. And speaking of emotions, he knows how to put emotions in every scene. In every scene, he's just a master, and that's part of his craft, is being able to put those emotions in the scene. Anyway, if you haven't experienced Audible, there's a link to a 30-day free trial in the description below, so give it a try. And if you're reading Stephen King or listening, I'd love to hear your responses about that. Alright, thank you so much. Keep writing and get into that story. Thank you.